This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. Last year, Operation Food Search announced plans to invest $10 million into facilities and programming at its campus in Overland. Renovations there are now complete and coming at a time when Missouri and Illinois are part of a national upward trend in food insecurity. Kristen Wild is president and CEO of Operation Food Search, and she joins us now to share how more space has meant more room to support families and kids, especially in our region. Kristen, welcome to St. Louis on the Air.
Thank you, Elaine.
So first, I'd like to make the terms that we'll be using a little clearer. What is the difference between a food pantry and a food bank, and which one does Operation Food Search fall under?
Certainly. Operation Food Search falls under the category of food bank. We are a hunger relief organization that receives millions of dollars of donations in food and other household items through partnerships with grocery stores, with local farms, with other food producers, event spaces. We receive this food and then we distribute it to our partner agencies, which are those pantries. Mm-hmm. So the pantries are the ones who interface more directly with the public individuals who need to receive the food, whereas we are sort of a collection site that then distributes to we have about 180 food pantries, homeless shelters, community centers that receive our food.
Okay. It's great to sort of level set there. Now, last year, Operation Food Search, it completed that $10 million renovation. Kristen, what are the major additions or improvements that were made?
Certainly, we have doubled our capacity to receive both shelf-stable and fresh food. We doubled our warehouse racking. We doubled our freezer and cooler space, and that is allowing us to accept more food donations and purchase more food to distribute to the community. We've also added a state-of-the-art custom-designed teaching kitchen that is aimed at increasing people's understanding of nutrition and how to cook meals on a budget, healthy eating habits. We have also created designated spaces within our facility for packing for specific programs, such as our child nutrition programs, our St. Louis Metro Market program, as well as what we call nutrition access and our food is medicine programs. So all of those changes are helping us to be more efficient with our food distribution. And we've also created more workspace within the organization so that our team members and outside organizations have collaborative spaces to work together and be more innovative. We've also enhanced our volunteer space.
Okay. So on a weekly basis, how many people are we talking about who are working at this distribution center?
Well, we have about 52 employees. Some of whom are there on a daily basis. Some have some degree of work from home. But in addition to all of our staff members, we have volunteers almost every day. And that can range from just a handful of individuals who are helping us prepare and pack for Operation Backpack going out the following week, or helping in our warehouse, helping pack up our Metro Market vehicles to go out into the community. We also have larger groups that come from schools, from companies, from faith organizations. So on any given day, we may have, up to 100 people in the facility.
So to pick up on the numbers sort of theme here, when we talk about food insecurity, I think sometimes we forget that we're talking about helping people. Can you share some numbers with us, some stats perhaps, that you are considering at Operation Food Search when you're figuring out what kind of help to provide?
Sure. I think, to me, one of the most alarming statistics is the rate of food insecurity amongst children. In the area where we serve, about 1 in 6 kids is food insecure. But even worse than that. If we look at St. Louis City specifically, about 31% of kids are food insecure. So we've designed several programs that specifically target youth. We have what we call our out-of-school meal programs, and that includes a summer meals program, an after-school meal program, and then we have our Operation Backpack program that provides weekend assistance to kids. So those have always been a high priority of ours, in addition to the programs that, our food distribution to our agencies where, kids, seniors, families, people of all ages are able to access that food. But we do have these specific programs that are targeted towards children.
What does food insecure mean? It's, it sounds like almost like a euphemism. What does it look like in real life?
Sure. So food insecurity is a different term than hunger. Hunger, anyone feels hunger when they simply don't have enough food in their stomach. And you might feel the pangs of it as you're approaching a typical mealtime. But food insecurity is really having a lack of resources to purchase and access the healthy food you need to lead a healthy life. So there are many people who, they may not be hungry every single day, but they may be food insecure because they are having to rely on a, corner gas station to get their dinner for the night, which certainly is not going to be as healthy as if they could access, a plethora of fresh fruits and vegetables and protein and things to make up a healthy diet. So we're really focused on food insecurity and helping people access the food that really helps them to function, well in the workplace and in the school and just in life.
One of the things that I noticed, I had an opportunity to look at these renovations, are these huge coolers, refrigerated coolers, and then the freezers. What is the advantage of having spaces like that? I mean, I think maybe people would assume, then they can take in more kinds of food. Is there also a benefit on the side of what you can receive from those who are donating?
There is. In fact, prior to the renovation, we had gotten to the point where we had to sometimes turn away donations. We had to find off-site storage. We had to rent refrigerated trucks. So by having this expanded space, we're able to receive, in general, more food that is fresh, which tends to be healthier. We receive both perishable and non-perishable items, but we try to receive and distribute as much of the perishable food as possible, and it allows us to be more nimble. If there's a truck headed for a specific location to make a drop-off and suddenly they realize there's a challenge, they're not going to make it in time, they can call us and say, hey, we've got this food to donate. And we were at the point where we would have to turn that type of opportunity down. Now we can receive that food.
And what kind of food? Can you give us some examples of some of the fruits and vegetables, perhaps, that you are now able to receive?
Sure. I mean, we receive a lot of fresh produce, particularly from our grocery partners, Schnucks, Dierbergs, and Straub's. We receive frozen meat that we're able to keep for up to a year. So if it's close dated in the grocery store, we're able to keep it and distribute it as long as it follows food safety rules. We receive everything from frozen ravioli to yogurt and dairy products. So we really nothing is off limits. I mean, we have a few things like we don't distribute alcohol or we don't distribute medicine.
Okay.
But really, all food products are welcome. We encourage the healthier items, but we receive it all.
Now, the headquarters is in Overland, which is in St. Louis County, but you mentioned St. Louis City. And Operation Food Search it serves much more than just sort of our immediate region. How far does your work go?
Sure. Yes, we work in 25 counties, 14 counties in Missouri and 11 in Illinois. So we are, on both sides of the river. We're working in the city, but then in a lot of suburban and rural areas. Going out to St. Clair and Madison County in Illinois, Franklin and Jefferson County in Missouri. So we really, impact a large part of the region.
Mm-hmm. That was something that was new to me. I didn't realize that your reach was so broad. We're speaking today with Kristen Wild, who's the president and CEO of Operation Food Search, and we're discussing what recently completed renovations at their campus in Overland have enabled them to do. Now, one of the things I think that is part of the environment is misconceptions about who goes to food pantries, who is food insecure, and mainstream media, including fictional work in film and TV, I think perpetuates certain ideas about what it looks like to struggle or to fall on hard times, who struggles with food insecurity. So, Kristen, bring us sort of what the reality is. What is it that we should know about who Operation Food Search ultimately reaches and who it serves?
Sure. There are, like you said, a lot of misconceptions, misperceptions about who needs assistance. The reality is many people are just one situation away from needing assistance. I'm thinking right now about federal workers who may lose their jobs. I'm thinking about the people who are making it paycheck to paycheck, and as we are looking at even greater inflation on food, that people are going to have to make choices between whether they're purchasing their week's worth of groceries or they're picking up that prescription that they need for a chronic health condition. Mm-hmm. There are people that, unfortunately, there is stigma surrounding food insecurity.
Right.
And there are many people who we don't know, as we walk down the street or we are in our own workplaces or kids are sitting in a classroom, they don't necessarily know who needs the assistance because a lot of people hide the fact that they do.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then I think natural disasters, what people need there. And as I understand, in 2019, Operation Food Search itself was flooded, so that kind of hit close to home.
Yes.
Now, the coronavirus pandemic seems to have really highlighted how many people and families and children were struggling to have that nutritious food. Has there been much of a change in the number of people who require that kind of support?
Yes, it's interesting. You're right. During the pandemic, food insecurity seemed to be highlighted a lot in the news. You could turn on the TV and see these long lines of cars at a food distribution event. In a way, that heightened awareness was a silver lining because a lot of people rose to the occasion and supported efforts like ours. We also received, additional funding from government, from individual donors, from corporations, from foundations. And there were a lot of additional supports that were put in place, safety net programs where families were able to access additional child tax credits or emergency pandemic EBT, so they were able to stretch their food budgets further. But with the ending of the pandemic, a lot of those supports went away. Mm-hmm. And so we're actually now facing a higher level of food insecurity, of needs not being met than we were at the height of the pandemic, because while the need was there was a larger supply and more resources to address it. And what we've seen is our pantries are telling us that the demand for food at their agencies is up about 20 to 30% compared to 2020.
Wow. So As we wrap here, these are renovations that have come at an important time. In what ways do you think that the recent renovations are preparing you for the future in the next 30 seconds or so?
Sure. So they are helping us to be more efficient with our programs, to be more effective since our capacity is greater. We're expanding programs that not just meet the immediate need for food, but that are able to teach people the skills to cook, to meal plan, and grocery shop, do all the things to have as healthy a lifestyle with food as possible. So we're really excited about our teaching kitchen and the expansion of our nutrition information.
Well, and I did see some raised beds.
Oh,
You're
yes.
growing some too.
Yes. Yes, both indoors and outdoors. We have hydroponic units and an outdoor garden.
Kristen Wild is President and CEO of Operation Food Search. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Elaine.
Coming up, overcoming challenges to grow food in North St. Louis and training teens to create urban farms in their communities. This is St. Louis on the Air on St. Louis Public Radio.
This episode was produced by Maya Norfleet and by Elaine Cha.
Our audio engineer is Aaron Dorr. This podcast was mixed and edited by Aaron.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations, and leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thank you.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
The Gateway brings you the day's news each weekday from around the St. Louis region and the state capitals in Jefferson City.
Our schools are accredited. We don't need this bill.
And Springfield.
How many more years must pass before lawmakers see time is of the essence?
I'm Abby Larico. Join me each weekday for The Gateway on the STLPR app or wherever you get podcasts.